My name is Paddy McCann. Title exhibition is Blackwater, an exhibition of new paintings here at the Mac, Belfast. The title exhibition goes back to childhood, where I was born, where I was reared. And it's really about, a lot of the works really sort of dealing with memory, loss, and my past in that particular part of the world in County Armagh, within that particular landscape and time, and relates to the river and bridge and glen that ran past the little house where I was born and reared and lived up until the age of 16, 17. One of the large paintings, Plough Handle, there's a mountain and there's a figure holding a handbag below the mountain. The figure below the mountain is actually Margaret Thatcher. So it was just again that period of time, and around the time of the Falklands War, the hunger strike within the north. One of the hunger strikers actually came from Camla, Raymond McCrish. And so Margaret Thatcher is wandering through the landscape, the mountains, carrying the mountain or whatever. And there's other elements in terms of other snatches or views or observation of the road towards Camla Mountain in terms of being close to where where we lived, and again just part of that childhood thing, and has a personal connection in terms of loss and family and so forth. So I was just trying to weave various experiences together within the one painting, and the scale is deliberate in terms of it's a very, it's a vertical painting. It's 3 meters by 2 meters, and it allowed me the space to almost step in these issues and concerns: the battleship, the mountain, the female form, the snatches of other landscapes and time and place, and sort of to hold it together with that foggy, misty brushwork. In that particular neck of the woods, there's so many along that particular road that's within that particular painting, Plough Handle. There was, in the 70s and 80s, various incidents, tragedies, the shooting of the young schoolgirl Magella O'Hare, the Reevy brothers tragedy, the King's Mill tragedy, some other UDR people were killed and so forth. So it's a road and a landscape with a history in terms of a sad history in terms of the Troubles in terms of Northern Ireland. There's that thing when you travel, whether it's by car or foot, through a landscape, and there's always that strong sense of melancholy in terms of moving through time within a particular landscape, and I feel that very, very strongly. Within the more successful work, if they've any value as paintings, the value might connect to their ambiguity in terms of they're not, hopefully not stating one particular event or time or place, but are open to interpretation. Some of the work I've been dealing with, and it's been a recent concern over the last number of years, has been the disappeared, and in particular Jean McConville, which in many ways I mean, the tragedy of the whole troubles, in terms of that loss and that loss of life, and she was a Protestant lady who had married a Catholic, who I suppose had to leave one particular community, one part of Belfast, and go to another, and she had a large family, and her husband tragically died, and she was left on her own, and then her body, she was abducted and killed, and her body, all these years later, her body re-emerged, where she was buried in the coast in County Louth. The sea, the waves, the water had eroded her place of burial, and nature brought her out, and oddly enough, she was buried just up the coast from the place where the young schoolgirl Magello O'Hare was going to visit, just after the point where she was shot by the army in 1976. She left a note for her parents that she was going to confession and then going on to Giles Quay, which is just up the coast from the beach where Jean McConville was buried and has since emerged. And I was interested in that connection, weaving that, that place, this place of Belfast, where I live and work, and childhood memory in terms of the area, the landscape where Magello O'Hare lived and was sadly killed. And so Skylight, the painting of the lady holding the pillow, it's not specifically in terms of the image, Jean McConville. I mean, I wanted it also to be a mother. I mean, what struck me about the tragedy of Jean McConville was that she had a large family. She was struggling to deal with that within her particular situation, and it was obviously, the lady was under a lot of stress and pressure and doing her best. And she was abducted. One of the reasons was because apparently she'd laid a pillow on a wounded soldier's head, and I think, that was an image that I found very powerful, in terms of just the sort of humane sort of gesture, so I wanted to deal with that, just the humanity of the woman. I mean, it's visual too. I mean, you have to work with the composition and the forms and the so forth. So the semicircular, almost curve of the fabric, the drapery, is the word I'm after, was mirrored within the waves of the sea that brought the lady out, and they're lapping up against the balcony. That was the idea, and Cave Hill is there on the top, and you can see Cave Hill from just around the corner from where the painting's positioned in the Mac. If you look up, I mean, and I was very conscious on my part, not the position of the painting, but to bring Cave Hill into the painting, and so the mother figure is there on the balcony with the pillow, and Cave Hill, and there's a form of the three sort of circles together, and I mean, my thinking there was that I think what the family got back was Jean McConville's 3 rings, and but the triptych, the 3. Has a very personal thing to myself as well. Where I live, in the bedrooms, there's a skylight, and the view and the view from the skylight, I can see Cave Hill, and I can see Davis Tower, and I've looked at them, that same view over the years, so obviously perhaps they're going to be in the work somewhere, As I said earlier, some of the work is there's some very small pieces, smallish, and then there's some very large pieces, and they require a different bodily interaction, a different gesture, a different positioning in terms of how you hope to carry the painting through. And I would be somebody would investigate and read up on the craft of painting. I mean, I'm very interested in how particular painters use paint, and what's the history of it in terms of getting the results. Somebody like de Kooning, there's been some recent very good publications in terms of his process and dealing with touch, movement, gesture, colour, texture, scale. And somebody like de Kooning, actually, I mean, for some artists, it's not so much the work that I find inspiring or of use as source. It's more how they're sometimes set up to do the work. A studio shot, in terms of the palette, the brushes, the positioning, or even the distance between one to the other in terms of the painting. How do you move between the palette and the painting? I mean, these things are important. I mean, for people perhaps outside of painting, even those who are practicing artists who don't paint, perhaps it's not even maybe something that they maybe consider. But for a painter, I may be wrong in that, I most likely am, but for a painter, it's essential that you spend enough time setting up, and you think about the materiality of the stuff you're going to be working with.